Hi everyone, welcome to the Cybersecurity Month here in Indonesia. I'm sure many of you have already enjoyed the past talks, and today we are going to talk about cyber threats which Unit 42 has been tracking, specifically in the form of the double extortion ransomware. We all know that it has been impacting organizations worldwide. So in the next 20 minutes, we'll focus on what it is, how it has been impacting the organizations, and some of our observations from Unit 42. A quick intro about myself. I lead the JPAC region for Unit 42 Threat Intelligence. My background has been in leading IR threat intel teams, both for a tech firm and as well as end user. We heavily work with external organizations like law enforcement, different governments to bring the fight against the bad guys in a way that we assist these organizations to make internet safer. So a quick one about our team, the Unit 42 team. The name Unit 42 has been derived from a science fiction book called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And in that book, the number Unit 42 or the number 42 is the answer to, life, universe, and everything. So basically that context has been taken to answer the who, why, how, and what of cyber attacks, right? So that is what we intend to do. Just about end of last year, we acquired a firm called Crypsis. So now Crypsis is part of Unit 42. Now we are also providing incident response services to organizations worldwide. So this enables organizations to have incident response, but which is led by intelligence. A lot of the things which we do eventually assist or helps in the incident response work, and vice versa, right? So there has been a bit of some changes within the organization, which is very important for our customers and everyone globally who are looking at Unit 42 services or content. So I thought I should mention that. Now going into the topic for today, the double extortion ransomware. I'm sure that a lot of organizations are really concerned about this threat now. And if we see, many people, I get questions. I had, I got on calls with customers earlier this year, and many times, on calls with customers where the concern has been double extortion ransomware. And these, I had those calls with definitely from customers in Indonesia as well, because Indonesia has been targeted by this threat. And many times I get this question about, oh, ransomware has been there for a long time. What has changed now? Like, isn't this the same threat? How are they able to do so much damage now? I mean, ransomware has been there for several years now. In fact, the first ransom was documented back in 1989, which was over snail mail. But of course, there has been a lot of in the past 5 years, ransomware has really wreaked a lot of damage. But if you are just looking at the amount of damage done since late 2019 or mid 2019, it has been substantial. Now the losses or impact to organizations are substantial. Losses can end up in millions of dollars. So it's important to note that the modus operandi has changed and the business model has changed. And this is something which is important from an end user perspective. to understand this threat better so that we are able to defend against it. So ransomware over the years, like, every time when we used to talk about ransomware, we would say, if you have backup available, an organization can mitigate the risk of ransomware substantially, because typically the modus operandi was infect, encrypt victim machine, and demand ransom. But if organizations have a good backup process in place, they can back up their the data, and the impact would be minimized, or there wouldn't be any impact to the business. And data usually is not stolen, because the data is already, it's just encrypted, so it's never stolen. So now what has happened in double extortion cases is that they have changed. They infect. They first infect the victim machine. They exfiltrate the data and then encrypt the data. Right. So that is an additional tactic which they are using, is they are exfiltrating the data before they encrypt it. So in this case, even if somebody has a backup, I mean, it's not going to work, but backups are still important. We'll talk about it at the end of the talk. Backups are still important for the business continuity, but in this case, because the data is stolen, the risk to the business from those sensitive data is hugely, it's substantial, because these groups are not just any group where they're just hacking in, smash and grab, and then they'll just take whatever they can. No, they don't do that. They hack in, they lay low, they understand the target victim's network, and then they go after the crown jewels. Basically, they are really going after those sensitive data within a victim organization, and then could be a day's work, or it could be several days, several weeks of lurking and finding those important data, which will be used to ask which will be used to pressure the victim to pay up, right? So typically what happens now is they have the crown jewels, then they will contact the victim organization and say that we have so and so sensitive data. Maybe it is 1 GB, 2 GB, maybe it will reach a terabyte. It really depends on the size of the organization and what data they've stolen. So they give an ultimatum to the victim organization that if you don't pay up within so and so much time, we are going to leak it, or publish it in the dark web. Typically, what they do is they host leak sites in the dark web. So there are several leak sites of all the ransomware gangs, and once the ultimatum is reached, they go and publish that data. So when we're talking about double extortion ransomwares, I mean, these are some of the very common ones from who have been very active since 2020 to early 2021. There are many newer actors which I have not mentioned here. There are just so many, but we'll discuss a few here, few of them, which is important for us to really understand the MO or modus operandi of these gangs, right? So there are so many happening, or so many new ransomware gangs which are coming up. Some are going down, some have been taken down by maybe law enforcement, and they come up, they form themselves, or they kind of reorganize and start all over again with a new name. So we'll talk about the challenges in terms of who are getting arrested as well. And it's important to understand, because some people may say, oh, weren't these were they not arrested? We saw in the news that some gang was arrested, then how come they are back? But it's important to understand how, or who are the key players, and who are getting arrested. It's not that simple as it looks like, right? So some examples of some of the leak sites. This Netwalker was taken down earlier this year. And here you can see how this site looks like. I've kind of redacted some of the sensitive data of the victims, but you can see here some of the victims had an ultimatum of when I took the screenshot. This victim still had 3 days, 4 hours. Somebody had 12 days, 19 hours during that time, and somebody's whose time was up, their data was published in the dark web, right? So there, I mean, this is a way to pressure the victim, because if they don't pay up, all the sensitive data is up for grabs for anyone. Sometimes they don't publish it. What they do is they sell it in the dark web. They sell it in some marketplaces where they can at least make some profit. But many of these gangs, they just publish for free, for anyone to grab it. So what happened with Netwalker? Because Netwalker was doing so much damage, they were targeting a lot of US organizations, globally also. I mean, but a number, I mean, there was a high number of American organizations who were really targeted, and the Department of Justice, FBI, worked with global law enforcement in Eastern Europe to take that group down. So they were taken down. And their leak site, if anyone would reach, you'll know that, okay, the Bulgarian law enforcement, along with the FBI, and of course the DOJ, they took action, and it was taken down. So Network is not there, but many others have popped up now. Now you can see here. This is another ransomware family, Cuba ransomware. It had a interesting, leak site. They had some visual look more attractive. So just some examples. And Clop has been one of, Clop has done significant damage in this year, 2021. They have been active since last year, but this gang has been targeting many organizations, big, large, and medium sized, but many large and enterprise organizations have been targeted by Clop. And these gangs actually also have, as you know, some of these gangs have access to 0 days, and sometimes there are exploits, or 0 days are available, but exploits can be created very fast. Let's say there is a vulnerability published, and they try to kind of exploit that vulnerability as soon as possible. So these gangs, basically what I'm trying to say is they have the capabilities to build their exploit kits, to build exploits for the vulnerabilities, newer vulnerabilities which are published, and they are very, very capable. And we'll talk about how can they become so capable in such a small period of time. This publication on ThreatPost mentioned that Fin11 was behind it. So I'm just going to mask it or redact it here. Not really redact it, just cancel that attribution, because it is not easy. We can't just say that so-and-so group, financial actor group, was responsible, because Clop ransomware is a RAS gang. We'll talk about who the RAS is in a bit. So there is some complexity, and it's not as easy when we talk about targeted attacks that there is so-and-so group behind it just by code. There are several actors who come together to form these double extortion ransomware gangs, right? So we'll look at that in a couple of slides. But this snapshot statistic I grabbed from the white paper which we published, but now the numbers have actually gone hundreds, almost more than 4 times. If we look at, we have just not published the most recent numbers. We will likely do it when we publish our next publication. So here you can see several actors have been very active, and these numbers were for the organizations whose data has been leaked in the dark web. And when we look at industries, we'll see almost all industries are impacted, but of course there are some key organizations like wholesale, retail, high tech, construction, professional legal services, manufacturing, healthcare, especially what's going on now. It's very unfortunate to see even healthcare being targeted. So when we look at regional, this was again data from the leak sites, which we kind of saw. We tried to discern which organizations or which region was being targeted the most. And we can see, of course, American organizations were targeted the most, followed by EMEA and then JPAC. Again, it's important to understand that these data was primarily all the data from the leak sites. But this is an interesting observation because I believe that this can be connected back to cyber insurance, because a lot of organizations in the US are buying cyber insurance. So that means those victims who are being targeted have a higher chance of paying up. Again, I mean, I don't have evidence to support my analysis here, but it is an interesting observation. So we have to keep that in the back of the mind. And cyber insurance is something which is now picking up in the JPAC region, and it's important for us to keep this in the back of the mind, that when these gangs target victims, they are well aware who has cyber insurance and who doesn't. So they know that organizations who have cyber insurance are in a better position to pay up. So because they are not going to take the loss, the losses is being covered by the insurance agency, right? So this is an important point. And when we look at the Indonesian victims, and this is these numbers I just extracted last night. 2020, there were very few, just 3 victims whose data was leaked in the dark web, right? Of course, I'm sure that the number of victims were much higher, but this data is specifically from the dark web. And now 2021, you see number of times more than what was observed in 2020. So now it's already 12, and it is likely to go higher. So it's very important that we understand that these guys, these gangs are going to be very active. And these numbers, which gives us some observation, like 2020, earlier than 2020, we saw those numbers. The highest ransom demanded was 15 million, highest ransom paid. And these were data which our consultants worked on, Unit42 Consulting. And highest ransom demand paid was 5 million, but that doubled in 2020. But for 2021, which again, we may likely be publishing it sometime early next year, but those numbers have now for 2021 almost again doubled, if not more. I can't disclose those numbers, but that has really gone very high. And some of you may have heard in the media that some organization was even had paid up like 40 million or something, or their demand was about 40 million. So it's really high. It is becoming a very, very profitable business for the bad guys, right? So now just quickly getting into why. As I said, it's becoming a profitable business, and what is really driving that. The main driving factor behind these campaigns is RAS, which is called ransomware as a service. So what happens in this is there are 3 key players behind RAS. One is the affiliate, and as I was saying earlier during my presentation, is that it's not easy to just attribute this attack to certain gang, and this is the reason. So basically, there are several actors, but the main key players in this in each RAS gang is there is an affiliate, there is a service provider, and there is an admin. Who is an affiliate? Affiliate are criminals who are actually buying this service from the developer, or who is the admin. The admin is basically somebody who sells that service to other criminals. And the affiliate is the one who actually goes and does, who initiates the attacks against the victims. But a very important third player is actually the service provider. The service provider are actually they have a lot of expertise, and they provide that expertise to the affiliates. So the affiliates pay the service provider a certain sum or percentage of the proceeds of the ransom, and the service provider provides expertise based, depending on what the affiliate has bought. They may sell exploits, they may sell intelligence of a certain on a certain organization. They even help with negotiation. So a lot of times these affiliates are not experts, right? They are just going and buying stuff, but the service provider are people who are experts, or so to say, ransomware consultants who help the affiliate. But they are also, they make big money. But so basically, this whole, there is a big ecosystem where people are supporting each other, and that is the reason. So now affiliates can be anybody, right? So when somebody gets arrested, it can be one affiliate or a few affiliates, but there are many other affiliates. So it's important to understand who is actually getting arrested, or who the action has been taken down against the admin or just the infrastructure. If it's just affiliates, that means the main guy or the main developer is still out there. So it is important to really answer those, like which key player was taken down, right? And this is the main reason. So who gets what? It's important to understand who's getting what. So once a victim pays up, the affiliate gets the biggest cut, followed by the service provider, or you can also say they are the ransomware consultants, and followed by the admin. The smallest cut goes to the admin, but it's important to understand. Many people ask me, okay, if it's the admin getting the smallest cut, but aren't they the guys, or aren't they the people who actually develop? Who shouldn't they be getting the maximum cut? Well, we need to understand that it is a business, right? So they're selling it to several affiliates. And when you actually calculate the amount of money they are getting, they're just providing that tool to the affiliates. And when you look at the number of affiliates, the money which the admin is generating is huge. Sometimes it could end up being more than an affiliate, right? So definitely a lot of money is made by the admin. I can't say how much, but there's a huge amount of money. Everyone is making millions of dollars in this business. So when I was talking about attribution, it's important from a defender's perspective that we don't get hooked up into, I can defend against so-and-so malware. Or I saw my technology can defend against Clop gang or Clop ransomware. It's okay, it's good, but it's important to understand that the same affiliate can be targeting you using some other ransomware, right? Affiliate A, this is just an illustration that a single affiliate never uses only one ransomware family. They actually buy several of these they are an affiliate to several gangs, so they buy not only one, but they are taking services from more than one RAS service. So once they target you, if they know your key vulnerabilities, whether it's network or system wide, they may use some other tool. So as defenders, it's important to understand the tactics, how these guys are targeting, and defend against that, rather than being too hooked up on, oh, I can defend against so and so malware. But how do they come in? What is the initial attack vector? And understand that. And Unit42 has been publishing quite a bit on that, we have published several threat assessments. Please visit our website, unit42.paloaltonetworks.com. We are publishing significantly on this, which will be helpful. And for customers, we are actually also publishing the courses of action. That means, as I was saying, it's very important that we have a good understanding on multiple ways how we can defend against this threat. So if our customer has has our next generation firewall, has the services threat prevention, DNS security, URL filtering. So how can we really configure this in a way to really tackle the tactics being used. We have also kind of used MITRE attack techniques, and we are publishing that on our blog. So please refer to our publications, and we are publishing a lot on our website on these attack techniques. So from a recommendations perspective, of course, this is on a high level. There's a lot more. Please visit our website, as mentioned on the lower part of this slide deck. But really, initial access is very important. I was highlighting, like, how are they coming in? It's important to understand, learn from what people have published, or learn from those victims who have been breached. So initial access, how they are coming in, backup and recovery is still very important for business continuity. Security controls, it has to be, we need to look at it at several layers, not just one technology, right? Because they can lurk, they can move laterally. How do you really minimize that risk? Our threat assessments white paper, which we have published. And the last one I would say, it's very important, because we are offering ransomware readiness assessment for our customers, or who are not our customers, but they are buying these retainers, because the RRA service allows organizations to better prepare against these threats, as we assess a victim organization, and also share best practices, tabletop exercises, assess the technologies. And of course, it's a retainer. So let's say if unfortunately anything happens, there is a plan at place to really deal with this threat. So yeah, this is what I had. I think I may have taken a few extra minutes here, but thank you, everyone. I hope this month have been fruitful for you. And if there's anything, please reach out to the team members of Palo Alto Networks and your in Indonesia, and definitely feel free to reach out to me on Twitter if you have any questions. Thank you.